Well, hello, folks. Man, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Very long time. And here we are, entering our second year of isolation. Quite frankly, we're all getting sick and tired of it, ain't we? You know, it is tough to go through the day without hanging with the folks that's most important to you. And we miss you. We miss being out on the road. And so we thought, you know what? Let's come to you. So we decided to launch a little video series called Cabin Fever. And it's our hope that with this, we can kind of remember the fun times that we've had and look forward to the good times that are to come whenever they get here. And of course, with all this time on our hands, we've been in the studio recording a whole bunch of new music for when we get to come and sing to you again. And with all this music, of course, an album comes out of it. So we thought you might want to hear some of these new songs. So grab your sweetie and a Speedo, and let's head south in our minds with this little Don Williams tune that we dusted off for just such an occasion. First I get cold and hot, think I'm on fire, but I'm not. Oh, what a pain I've got, it must be love. There's nothing I can do, all that I want is you. Look what I'm going through, it must be love. It must be love, it must be love. I fall like a sparrow, fly like a dove. You must be the dream I've been dreaming of. Oh, what a feeling, it must be love. Something is wrong, alright, I think of you all night. I can't sleep till morning light, it must be love. And I'm seeing you in my dreams, holding you close to me. Oh, what else can it be? It must be love. It must be love. It must be love. I fall like a sparrow and I fly like a dove. You must be the dream I've been dreaming of. Oh, what a feeling. It must be love. Hey! Must be love, it must be love. I fall like a sparrow, I fly like a dove. You must be the dream I've been dreaming of. Oh, what a feeling, it must be love. Oh, it must be love, it must be love. I fall like a sparrow, I fly like a dove. Must be the dream I've been dreaming of. Oh, what a feeling, it must be love. Oh, it must be love, it must be love. I fall like a sparrow and I fly like a dove. You must be the dream I've been dreaming of. Oh, what a feeling, it must be love. Oh, what a feeling, it must be love. Oh, what a feeling. Oh, oh, what a feeling. It must be love. Whew. That was fun, wasn't it? That first picture that came on at the beginning of the song was one that I had painted way back at the turn of the century. For 9 years running, I wrote and illustrated a regular column in the Canadian Cowboy Country magazine called Over the Edge. And that picture spawned one such story. So gather around, children. Uncle Benny gonna read to you. It's called Multiculturalism. I never been much of a fan of what them myopic city-bred social engineers called multiculturalism. If you want to live in a particular society, then assume its culture and blend in. It's called assimilation. Assimilation. That's assuming, yes. Take the case of Bud and Jake, two old bachelor brothers who ranched a small 2-section spread out past Rocky Mountain House, where the sprawling grassland meets the bush-covered foothill country. Of course, these two old boys is best left in the bush for more than one vital reason. Keeping a couple sections of ancient fence herd-worthy is no small task, what with patrolling for bear and cat who have also developed an unhealthy taste for grass-fed beef. There's the odd colt to break, high school in the older ones, and salt and mineral to pack into the higher mountain meadows in the forest releases, and before you know it, summer's nearly gone. Although it seems like it started just yesterday. The berries is ripe, and the goldenrod is already started to bloom. Well, life has to be lived, and part of that existence is, on occasion, to spruce up a bit and head to town to assimilate. Not just for supplies and to fill up the cupboards with another flat of tomato soup, but also to expand one's horizons and take in the local color. Now you got to remember, gentle reader, that there's a different culture in town, a different language. And this year there was a brand new fad that just had to be tried. Bud and Jake pulled into the resort town of Sylvan Lake about 2:30 in the afternoon. It was hot and the beaches was crowded with what seemed like 1,000,000 people of all ages, sorts, and sizes, all there for one purpose, to soak up the sun and cool off in the water. Now these two boys was no stranger to the sun. They soaked that up on a regular basis, but water was a different kettle of fish, so to speak. There was something you didn't want to get too close to, on account of the tendency it has to soak off that outer protective crust, thereby allowing germs and such to hit actual skin. Yeah. A feller could get sick that way. So that part of the excursion was definitely off limits. But what they had seen in a picture in one of the buildings downtown was a sport they had never tried but was dying to experiment with. You see, up until this point, the only excitement they'd ever experienced was limited to your boring, everyday, mundane activities like roping grizzlies, treeing cougars, freeing mad range cows from back-deep muskeg mud. Pretty much run-of-the-mill yawners. But this new thing, they called it parasailing. That looked like it might afford a bit of a thrill. Jake unloaded his 3-year-old green buckskin gelding and strapped on the old Monet Brothers saddle, while Bud spread out an old 5-point bay blanket on the sandy ground. And using 4 small pebbles, he secured 2 baler twines to the 4 corners of the blanket, and he was ready to go. Jake uncoiled 2 of his better ropes, tied them together for extra length, and stepping aboard the hump in the middle of the gelding, dallied up and screwed hisself down for a ride. Bud tied the other end of the rope round his middle with a granny knot, grabbed the 2 twines from the blanket, and screwed his hat down onto lock position and nodded tersely to his brother. "Open the chutes, boys!" So with a holler that would terrorize any hardened member of the SS, the entourage hit the start of the runway that most folks would call a beach. The buckskin didn't even have time to pitch before the spurs had dug in and the accelerator was pinned to the floorboards. Bud ran for all he was worth, and the next thing he knew, he was floating
above the treetops. This was a view he'd never seen before. People looked like ants as they frantically ran and dove for cover. He'd never recalled ants making that much noise. But a path was being cleared as if by magic, and he was starting to enjoy his new freedom. Until the rope caught underneath the buckskin's tail. The landing was somewhat more abrupt than he'd anticipated. The buckskin had stopped running and just set to putting on a real rodeo, pitching and clearing the beach for miles, and sitting there in his own personal little crater. Bud realized that perhaps he wasn't prepared for that big a culture shock, and that it might be safer for everyone that he stay in the hills, where he blended into his own familiar sounds and sights and, yes, smells. Now both the town and the two old bachelors agreed they'd learned something that day. Assimilation don't always work on the first try. So, folks, maybe being cooped up in where you're at ain't all that bad. We hope you've enjoyed this little escape from whatever is eating you today. Thank you so much for listening. Check back here again, and we'll see you next time on Cabin Fever.